Is the sweetest. Tell your neighbor, is the sweetest thing. Sweetest? Very sweet. But let me tell you one thing. Can I give you an instance? How many of you have ever taken sugar? You know sugar? Sugar. Plain sugar without tea. Plain sugar. How many of you here can take 1 kilogram of sugar without tea? How many of you? Let me ask you, why don't you take it and it's sweet? By the way, if there is anything that is sweet, 2 things I think we'll mention of honey and sugar. Sweetest, but you just say to me that you cannot take 1 kilogram of sugar. So sex can be sweet but dangerous. Now, for instance, if today you take sugar with tea, you are safer than taking plain sugar. Do you know that? Yes, you are safer. Now, if sex is practiced outside wedlock, it becomes poisonous. Now, remember that sex is very sweet, because I know most of you, as I can see like, let me look at your eyes. I can see like almost, let me not even say, but most of you have practiced sex. Yes. It is so sad. By the way, it's so sad if we ask our generation, in our generation today, how many virgins do we have right now? You know why you are lifting your hand? Because you are lying to me. Most of you are lying. But let me tell you the truth. Most of the people who are virgins are not even confident of lifting up their hands. Because there is a narrative that's moving on in our generation. It's like, if you are not a virgin, if you are a virgin, it means that it's like you're not you're not a man, you're not a woman. There is something wrong with you. But let me tell you, God created sex for husband and wife. Look at your neighbor, tell your neighbor, God created sex for husband and wife. Ask your neighbor, who is your wife and who is your husband? Now, because you have been practicing it and you're not married, so that means that there is something wrong you are doing. Is that also? Now, another thing that I want to say about sex. Sex is a gift from God. Can you tell your neighbor, sex is a gift from God?
Sex is a gift from God.
Now, in the book of Genesis, chapter 1, the Bible says that God created man. God created man, male and female. He created Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, by the way. It's Adam and Eve. So God created, and this is what happened. He blessed them and he gave them the gift of sex. He said, increase, multiply, and fill there. That's what he said. But it was husband and wife. Now, one of the things that I've realized when I was doing a research about sex is that sex is a covenant between two people. If you engage yourself into sexual immorality, ama ukilala na msichana, if you are a boy, ama ulale na jamaa, ni kumaanisha there is a covenant that you have engaged with that girl or with that boy. And that covenant unites you and makes the two of you one. I realized this thing, that it is not the wedding ring that makes people one. If you sleep with somebody, if you practice sex, ukilala na mtu, mnakuwa kitu. Kwa hivyo kama umelala na 10, wewe ni vitu 10. Angalia mwingine mwambie wewe ni vitu 10 na. It's a covenant. Talk to your neighbor, tell your neighbor, it's a covenant.
It's a covenant.
That's why I'm campaigning to all of us, fear sex. If you're not married. Fear what? Look at your neighbor, tell your neighbor, ogopa sex. And let me tell you, by the way, do you realize that the smallest part in your body is the most stressful part in your body? Kakitu kanyama kadogo. By the way, hata uking'oa hako kanyama kanasumbuaga watu wako, nimesikia kanakuaga katikati sijui ya wapi. Na nimesikia watu wakisema ukikang'oa hivi na ukapime hata akawezi fikisha 500 grams. Hata sijui kama ni 250. Na ndio kana kusumbua. Kama mnaona je namna gani nyinyi? Tumeambiwa na Tracy kanakuaga chini na huko. Na kako mahali. Sijaiona kamoja kanakuaga kwa kichwa, lakini kamesumbua watu. Hey. Hey, na Mungu atusaidie. Na kamesumbua hata wanafunzi. Wanalala na watu wa bodaboda. Ati unabebwa hivi unasema leo silipi, unasema tuingie huko kwa kakona. Unashughulikiwa dakika 7 mnakoga na haraka. Na wengine hapa mpaka migongo imevunjika. Uliacha umevunja kitanda ya jamaa na ukavunjwa mgongo. Angalia mwingine mwambie washa lala.